Alright, next I'm going to measure the clearances on the main bearings. It's critically important, so I'm going to double check, even though, you know, I've already had the machine shop go through everything. Let's just check it just to make sure this stuff comes cheap and it's easy to do. Basically, you cut a piece. What Plastigage is, it's a little filament of plastic that's a certain exact size. You cut the piece to the length you need, you place it on there, you put your bearing cap on there, tighten it down to factory spec, and then you take it back off, and you measure by using this gauge, whether it be the millimeter or the inch side, how much that's squished out. The less clearance, the more it'll squish, and you can measure that amount of squish on this gauge. And you just want them all to be within the specifications. So I'm just going to cut a piece about the same width as the bearing here. Try to open this up. I probably could have cut a long piece because I need 4 of them, but inside here is the tiniest little filament, and I believe I just lost that one. There it is. Don't know if you can even see that on camera. It's just a little filament. It's like a little mini hot glue gun stick or something, and you just place that right on top of the cap. Or not the cap, the bearing journal. I'm going to just run these down first. And I'll do all those, and then we'll tighten them to spec. And anytime you're tightening down bolts, it's good to go like halfway on each, and then go for your final torque. Or if it's way up there, you might want to go, if it's a real high spec, you might want to go, you know, if it's like 100 or something, you might want to go in 3 steps. I'm just going 20, and the final on these is 40. And that's not a click type torque wrench I'm using, it's a beam type. That click you're hearing is just the bolt friction. Kind of hard to hold the thing because it's so small and light. Usually you'd have this on a stand, but this engine's so light, it's kind of beyond the realm of needing a stand. Alright, got them all to 40. Let's snap them all back off. Should have used that to pry it off a little bit. There we go. Alright, now what you should have is, you know, a nice clean bearing, and then the smushed Plastigage. And you take the measurement tool. You can take a small piece, a little piece. Small piece probably works better because I can curve it to get it in there, right? And so we're going to measure, line it up, and whichever measurement gauge is the closest one, that's your clearance. That's how much you have in between there. I'm going to go on the millimeter side here because my book is absolutely inaccurate on the decimal point of the inch one. So I'm going to say it's on the millimeter one, 0.051. The next one is 0.038. That's too small. And 0.076 is on the other side. It's just a hair bigger than that. So I'm going to say we're like 0.06 or something like that on that one. And we're going to just check them all the same way. Make sure they're all in spec. Okay, on this engine, those are all almost exactly the same as the others, which means the machine shop did their job. Also, that verifies that I've put both the upper and the lower main bearing caps in properly, the bearings themselves, not the caps. If they weren't, you might see the Plastigage on one side smooshed out more than this side. Then you would know it was, you know, it was flipped one way or the other. If it was, you know, heavier on here and goes to taper lighter, you had that thing sitting on an angle or something was wrong there. Maybe the machine shop messed up, you don't know. So you're just double checking them. Now what you got to do is you just got to get all of that off. And then once I do, I'll bring you back. Alright, I got all the Plastigage off both the crankshaft and the bearings inside the cap there.